Good evening and welcome to another Training Tuesday. Happy to have you guys here tonight. Tonight we have a topic that I am really excited about. This is a topic that I think there's so many different ways to go on this. There's so much more deeper we can do than what we're going to be able to achieve tonight. But this is a critical topic for how we really step into leadership. So the title of tonight's training was a mouthful. I know that. But I think I called it, step into being a powerful leader you know you can be and break the patterns that limit you, right? Break limiting patterns, which is just kind of a big topic. And we're going to do it right now, which is kind of a big topic to begin with. But I wanted to dive into this and start picking it apart. And this is a topic we'll come back to and pick apart different pieces of it over time. But I want you to start thinking now about this idea of how do we step up and be these amazing, powerful leaders. Forget women leaders, because we are women and we're leaders. But those two things don't have to be called out distinctly necessarily. So how do we step up into true leadership and into our true sense of power? And what does that actually mean to us? So I'm first going to start with welcome to my lovely hotel room in San Antonio. Usually you guys have me in my home office or sometimes in my living room. I'm traveling today. I'm in beautiful San Antonio, Texas. This is the lovely Marriott Hotel. So welcome to my room. Thank you for joining me today. And I have been fighting this cold for well over a week now. So I apologize for the raspy. I may have to pause and take a drink or cough, or I've got my handy Ricola cough drops with me. So bear with me. But the topic tonight was it's so much fun for me, and I hope it's going to be fun for you, that I didn't want to cancel or postpone or anything like that. And then I can see you guys, you're already saying hi, hello in the chat. I see Joyce and Jackie and Anna. Excellent. Hey, Anna. We're in the same town today. Awesome. So I'm going to try also not to sound like a teenage boy going through his hormone spurt. So bear with me. All right. What had me thinking about this topic initially was I was thinking about evolution, the evolutionary patterns that we women go through. There are different stages, right, to a woman's life where I talk a lot about our early stages and the fact that as girls, we are taught a lot of patterns that don't really serve us right now. Right? We are taught patterns of how to be people pleasers, of how to key into how other people are feeling and thinking and then respond to that, right? We're taught very reactive patterns. We are taught that our voice is not necessarily one that wants to be heard. And that if we are being heard, we might be being interpreted as being too pushy or bossy or strident, or lo and behold, the B word, right, in corporate America, if we're pushing too hard to get our way. So we have an awful lot of fear about how we show up. And we've been trained to have that fear. But what I thought was interesting is that I don't see a ton of I see a lot of research about that. I see a lot of research about what women do now to step into power. But there's research in men's development that I don't see a lot of parallels in women's. And maybe I just haven't come across it yet. But about 5 years ago, I was doing a lot of work with male and female communication. A lot of the coaching I was doing was around the communication dynamics between men and women, and the fact that because we're wired differently, we do communicate differently. And in that research, I was coming across a whole bunch of studies around how men go through different stages, right? The different evolutions, right? John Bly wrote Iron John, and he talks about men and how men are raised in different stages of men's growth. John Campbell wrote the original Hero's Journey, right? The hero's journey about the guy, of course, because that's what our fairy tales are all based on. One of the researchers I followed a lot was Alison Armstrong, who dedicated like 30 years of her life to researching men and how men are wired, how they think, how they behave, how those two are tied together, and the gap between how men think and behave in women. And she also had an evolution of how men move forward in the world. And she defined it, and I'm going to use hers as an example because it's the one I'm most familiar with, but she defined it as they go through kind of they're young men, they're babies. They go through the kind of the page, the prince, and the king eras of their lives, right? At some point, not all men, but some evolve to this king status. And at this king status, they're not interested in proving themselves anymore. They feel like they have. They become more the advisors. They become more enjoying life and being present in the moment and less about chasing the gold. Women go through stages too, and we tend to define our stages a little bit more as, the girl, the princess, the young woman who then is career oriented but also raising a family. To me, those years are honestly just a blur. We're so busy and we're juggling so much. I barely remember my 30s. We don't talk as much about the woman maturing into this stage of what Claire Zammit actually calls self-actualization. And I was thinking a lot about this, right? A lot of the women in this group, a lot of us, are in this stage of what we call achievement. We are striving to get things done. We have goals we need to hit. We have a certain amount of money we want to make. We have titles that we want to achieve. We have personal goals in terms of our physical fitness and our health and our relationships. We're pretty goal oriented, right? The name of this group is Accelerating Leadership, right, for Professional Women. And how do I refer to you all in the group? Ambitious women. We have goals and ambitions. But what I've noticed is that a lot of the times we're also in this stage of self-actualization. We're moving out of this group. And we're moving, like if you follow folk wisdom, they talk about the crone. We don't all identify with the crone because of our superficial definition of the crone being the old woman, the hag, who is stirring over her kettle, her giant cauldron kind of thing. And that is the visualization around a crone, right? She's an old woman. She might be a wise woman, but she's an old woman. She's not particularly attractive, doesn't care anymore, and she's doing her own thing. And that only appeals to part of us. But self-actualization does take us to this place where suddenly our achievements are not nearly as important as our faith in ourselves. So I want you to just let me know in the chat, just drop a Y in the chat if this is making sense to you, because what I'm thinking about is this phase that we're at where, yes, we still want to achieve, we still want to make money, we still want to have this career path, have our family lives go the way we want to go. But we're also finding it's really important that we show up in our lives in a way that is aligned with our integrity, that's aligned with who we are authentically, that we know we can do more, be more, and have more to give. And it's more than just the title or the salary or the size of our house. So yeah, thanks. I've been thinking a lot about that. That's the shift we're kind of in, and we're trying to marry this shift with this idea of we're trying to marry this shift with this idea that we have to hit these goals, these achievements, this checklist to be successful. So self-actualization, though, is that stage where we are being everything we know we can be. We are that woman who is confident. We are that woman who is who knows herself, who's secure in herself, who knows that whatever she chooses to do, she can make that happen. That woman. And it takes a certain amount of not just self-awareness, but self-acceptance and honesty and forgiveness and compassion for ourselves to get there. One of the reasons this has been a topic on my mind a lot lately is, as some of you saw, I posted over the weekend. I spent the weekend in a women's empowerment course, specifically for coaches who want to coach around women's empowerment and what's the research around this and what do we know. And one of the things, if you've been one of my clients and you've worked with me, you've done this exercise with me, and I know some of you think it's silly, but I make you do it, and I make you do it more than once. And it's the wise woman exercise. and it's by Tara Moore. Well, it's not by Tara Moore. I actually I borrow it from Tara Moore, who borrowed it from the Coaching Institute in New York. I think it's called the National Coaching Institute, but I can look that up. But it's called the Wise Woman exercise. And it is a 10-minute meditation that has you center in yourself, close your eyes, and walks you through a journey where you envision, who are you 20 years from now? Who are you 20 years from now? In your 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, however old you are, 20 years from now, who are you? Where do you live? What are you eating and drinking? What do you do in your spare time? How are you showing up? If you envision who she is, in that exercise, we envision who she is, and we get as detailed as we can and as detailed as we can. So when women are working with me, we go through that exercise, and often the first time we go through it, there's a lot of struggle with, I don't know who she is really, right? We're still very much trapped in the where we are in the present a lot of times. So we don't always see clearly who we could be 20 years from now. Even though we have a sense of who we want to be, it's hard for us to envision it. So the exercise feels kind of silly. But we do it, I do it with the women that I work with, I do it because I want to start grounding you in that future vision of you that you know in your heart who that is, who you are and who you want to be. You know a little bit in your mind who that is, but we usually haven't formed a full picture because we have so many limitations in our mind, so many limiting beliefs about what really can happen, that we don't allow that full picture to blossom. We don't allow it to grow. But what that exercise does is it tells us what we're dreaming about. It tells us what's blocking our dreams. It tells us what some of our core strengths and talents truly are. And it tells us what some of our core fears are. So you can get a lot out of that 10-minute meditation. Now, I have us do it multiple times over the course we work together, because the more we go back to it and tap into that vision and visit that woman, we get more details, we get more specific, we know ourselves better, right? The work we do in coaching is about raising our self-awareness, becoming more keyed into who we are and what we want, and then figuring out how we go about it. And part of that is really tapping into, who is this woman? And the more I know about who she is and how she shows up and what's important to her, the more I have a guiding map of where I want to go. And I can start to see, well, how am I going to get there? If I'm going to be her when I grow up, what's the path I got to take to get there? Who do I need to be now in order to become her 20 years from now? 10 years from now, if you want a shorter timeline. 30 years from now, if you want a longer timeline. So it's a connection between our head and our soul, really. I would say our heart, but it's also kind of our soul. It's who we are internally that we have suppressed all these years because of these patterns that we have. So Joyce, I'm looking at your comment, who we want to be and have and do, not what we are expecting. Yeah, exactly. If we can strip away the expectations that our family has of us, that our friends have of us, that society has, that we have put on ourselves. A lot of the expectations we have also put on ourselves through assumptions of what we think our family and our friends want from us. If we could strip all that away, who would we be really? And how would we be spending our time? So I just want to touch on three key patterns that show up. So there's three kind of core patterns that show up that hold us back from both getting in touch with this wise woman and knowing who she is fully, and then being able to express that. And these are the same patterns that slow us down in the very practical, tactical career progression. I can say the progression. In our ascension in our career, these are the same patterns that stop us from getting further. And they partly stop us from getting further because they stop us from evolving into this mature, wise, and truly just more confident, more authentic version of ourselves. So the three patterns are, there's an I am alone pattern. There's an I am invisible pattern, and there's the I am not enough pattern. And they're all kind of, to me they're all kind of flavors of the same lack, right? The lack gremlin, but they show up a little bit differently. So I want to give you some examples of how they show up, and I'll be curious if you guys identify with any. I'll tell you who I am when we're done with this, but I can, which one of these maybe you identify with. So the I am alone. The I am alone pattern is the pattern that shows up as the person who, I'm alone, so I don't ask for help. I don't ask for help because I'm not going to get it. Nobody else knows how to do it. They don't do it right. The I am alone pattern, we tend to isolate and separate ourselves from other people. We're overachievers, we're successful, we're capable, and we hold ourselves a little bit apart from other people. We're not great at connecting with other people. We, excuse me. We have that very self-sufficient, I can't get what I want from others, so I'm just going to do it myself. Some of the result of that, though, is that we give up hope on ever connecting with other people, on ever having that true, deeply connected friendship or group of girlfriends or partner, boyfriend, husband. We think others don't have the capacity to go where I go, to meet me where I'm at. They can't do it. And so the result of that actually is when we're in relationships, whether it's friendships or romantic relationships, we stay too long. Because why are we going to leave? Like nobody's going to meet me where I'm at, so this person is as good as the next one to some extent. Now that may be a little harsher than what we're thinking, but that's the pattern. That's the pattern. We're already alone in the relationship. So we put up with the relationship not being exactly what we want because we have to make up for the lack that's there anyway. So that's the alone. Justine, well, hold on, Justine, wait a minute. Let me talk about invisible. Invisible, when we're invisible, our attention is on other people. Other people who we help them feel seen, right? We're part of the cheer club for them. When we're invisible, we have a much higher awareness of what's happening with other people, what's going on with them, how are they feeling, what are they thinking about, and we don't key in nearly as much to ourselves. Our own self-awareness is a little bit lower when we're in the invisible pattern. We are chronic givers. When we are invisible, we are chronically giving and supporting other people, making sure they feel good. We make a mistake, though, when we're in this pattern of assuming that what we feel and what we think, it's obvious. I mean, it's obvious to us what we feel and what we think. So we think it's obvious to others. And so our frustration is that other people don't pick up on our signals. When the truth is, our signals are typically all about paying attention to them. So we put ourselves in this vicious cycle. When we're in the invisible pattern, we have a strong need to control how other people see us. Perfectionists live in this pattern, right? I can't screw anything up. I can't do anything wrong because if they notice me, it better be perfect. So perfectionists live here. We are the ghosters of relationships. The invisible one truly is invisible. We disappear or we ghost relationships, no explanation, we're done, we're out. And a lot of it is this feeling of they're not going to notice anyway. They didn't really see me anyway. They didn't appreciate me. A little bit of martyrdom sometimes in this pattern. So that's the invisible pattern. Now the I'm not enough pattern is also directed at other people, also chronically self-sacrificing. But that one is I'm proving that I'm enough. I have to do more to get your attention. I have to do more to prove that I'm worth the same as other people. Other people are getting recognition and success for these things. I have to do more to earn that same level of success and recognition. When we're in the not enough pattern, we feel like there's never, and we feel like not only are we not enough, We feel like there is never enough. There's never enough money. There's never enough time. There's never enough love. Never enough people, friends, you name it. We overcommit. This is the pattern. The I'm not enough pattern is a pattern where we overcommit because we're so busy proving that we're worthy and that we have to do more to show that we're worthy. We don't have time. We are so busy doing all the things. We get very stressed out about doing all the things. And so the result is we don't take care of ourselves properly. We sacrifice our needs and our self-care to support other people. And so we undervalue ourselves. We undervalue what we bring to the table because we're always working harder to prove that, and we think we have to do more. And we're not taking care of ourselves because we don't have time for that, and because other people need these other things more. So, all right. So I see. So Justine, are you still alone? So I'm curious now. I walked through all three. So Anna said not enough. Justine said alone. Joyce said all three. Yeah. I actually think this is why I'm saying these three are all kind of the same flavors of that single coin of just lack. We feel like we're lacking something, and then it shows up in these different ways. So you can be bits of all three. There's probably one that plays a little bit stronger for you. Typically there's one that would play a little bit stronger for you that's leading, but yeah, all of these make sense. So I was thinking about the wise woman a lot, and I was thinking about this. Not only did I, like all these things, right? They all come together kind of at the same time, which to me is always like the universe is giving me a message. So I'd gone through this training this weekend that had me thinking about the women's journey and how we evolve into this self-actualization. And I was thinking about then evolving into self-actualization means addressing these patterns. It means figuring out, how do I get past these patterns? And getting past these patterns is definitely, how do we raise our awareness? How do we raise our awareness about which patterns are playing out? What am I reacting to right now? How am I reacting? And now, what's a different choice I need to make? What are my options for the different choice I can make? How would I show up as that wise woman? How would she respond in this situation when this pattern is popping up? So I would say all of you are going to see versions of yourself in all three patterns. One of them is going to resonate with you more. One of them is still going to be your leading pattern. So part of what brought all this together for me was what month are we in? No, not 6. 8 months ago. 8 months ago. I signed up for a half marathon. I have run half marathons before. This was going to be my 6th, maybe? 5th or my 6th half marathon. I've been running for over 15 years. I picked it up late. So for 15 years I've been running 5Ks, 10Ks, easy peasy, fun. Every now and then I throw in a half marathon to prove that I can. Because every now and then I think I'm going to run a full marathon. And every time I run a half marathon, I'm like, no, that's plenty. I don't need to run the full. I don't have to prove anything. 8 months ago, I signed up with my running partner to run a half marathon. And he lives in Boston. I live an hour outside of Boston. And so we support each other by training virtually with each other. Right? We check in with each other on runs that we're doing and things like that. This half we signed up for was part of a medley. So there was a 5K race, a 10K race, and a half. The 5K race we ran, it was great. It was tons of fun. The 10K race we ran, but not together, because that weekend I had to travel. I was taking my son out to his orientation at college. So I couldn't be in Boston for that one. I felt terrible about it. I ran the mileage, even though I couldn't run with my running partner at the time. And we checked in after that. And then we've been training for this half, and I use we lightly. Marcus is my running partner. Marcus has been training for this half. I've known Marcus since we were both in school. Like, I've known him for 30 years, literally 30 years. And every week he checked in with me, gave me the mileage he'd been running telling me about his training program. And every week I said, I'm going to catch up. I'm going to catch up. And I didn't. I did not train for this half. As we got closer and I realized my window for training for the half was shrinking, I basically said, you know what? I'm going to do it because I'm not going to not show up for Marcus. I promised him 8 months. This was his first half. That's why it was a big deal. This was his first half. But I'm not going to not show up because I was the one who was lazy and didn't train. I'm going to be there. I might die. I might die. And actually, I would say that jokingly. I would say jokingly, Marcus, I haven't trained. I might die, but by gosh, I'm going to be there for you. If I have to walk the whole time, I'll walk the whole time, but we're going to get through this. And he trained. He ran over 10 miles. He was ready. He trained for this. And for weeks and months in my head now has been and you guys have heard me talk about this half if you've been on Training Tuesdays. Why haven't I trained? Why am I not I know exactly what I need to do. I have trained for these before. I know I can do it. Why was I not preparing? Why wasn't I listening to my body, which was saying, by the way, yeah, you're going to die. You're not going to die. You're going to hurt yourself. What my body was saying to me was, you run 13 miles with zero training. You're going to hurt yourself. You are not the spring chicken age anymore that can just pop a half marathon into a weekend, take an ice bath and be fine 5 days later. You're going to hurt yourself. Like that was in my head. And then, so Saturday I came into Boston. Sunday morning was the race. And Sunday morning, hour and a half before the race, Marcus calls me and says, not going to do it. I was like, wait, what? Not going to run. And I said, why are we not running? Because I'm not running it without him. I already knew I was going to die. I'm not running it. Marcus was tapping into his body. And he said, I'm not ready for this. And I was like, Mark, you ran 10 miles already. You can do this. He's like, no, I can't. One, it's raining. It was raining. Marcus does not like running in the rain, I have discovered. So one, it's raining, so it's not ideal conditions. And two, something about his body said to him, you will hurt yourself if you do this. I said, really? He goes, yeah. He's like, I know if I get out there, one, I'm going to be miserable because it's raining, so I'm not going to enjoy the experience. And two, I'm going to get hurt. Okay. So we didn't run. We did meet for brunch. We did meet for brunch a few hours later. That really got me thinking, why was I not listening to me? I already knew I was going to get hurt. I already knew. And I wasn't willing to acknowledge that that was going to happen. Why didn't I do the training? That's what got me thinking about this wise woman meditation. And that it's maybe time to tap back in again, to kind of set my North Star for where am I going? Where do I want to go? Who do I want to be? My North Star wise woman, she doesn't need to run half marathons. But you know what? She'd like to be fit enough that she could if she wanted to, that she could train for that. So I started thinking about what's the block in my mind? Where is the block in my mind? Where is my limiting belief around this? What has caused me to step back from that path? Because like I said, I've run halves before. So from a health and wellness and fitness standpoint, I have already been on that path to being that woman I want to be when I'm in my 70s and 80s, because I want to be healthy and fit. I want to still be physically moving and doing things. What happened? Well, I don't know exactly what happened. I can tell you all the different things in life that goes sideways, right? That makes us break our habits and our patterns, right? I'm in a regular routine, I'm doing this thing, and then I moved house. Well, I moved house, I'm in a new neighborhood, and now in the new neighborhood, I don't have the same running routes, I don't have the same neighbors, I don't have the same gym, right? All the excuses in the world. At the end of the day, mine, so I see you guys identifying the not enough and whatnot. My pattern is the I'm alone. I am alone. Don't ask for support. Chronically undersupported. This is true. The belief if I have to do it all myself, it'll get done faster that way. I'm the worst. I'm the worst at that. That idea of others can't meet me where I'm at. That's a big one for me. Others can't meet me where I'm at. Others won't understand me. They won't understand that I've had this unusual childhood where we traveled around the world. They won't understand that I have this different perspective. I have relatives in these other countries that speak different languages. They won't understand that I'm into coaching and chakras and all that woo-woo weird energy. I mean, my children call me hippie. You all know me. I'm not a hippie. Those of you old enough to know what true hippies are. That's not me. My kids aren't old enough. But to them, that's the version of them of me that they see, right? So I have this staying in relationships too long. I totally do that. I've done that. So that's a pattern for me. So then I had to sit back and go, you know what? It was a little bit of that. It was a little bit of that. Others don't have the capacity to meet. It was it was the realities of my entire life shifted over the summer and I moved and all that other tactical stuff. But why did I not reconnect with my future self and get back into some of those habits and patterns? And I was letting a little bit of these other messages in my I'm alone pattern take over. And one of them was the whole others can't meet me where I'm at. You know, why connect? And it was having brunch with Marcus when we didn't run that I was having a conversation with somebody who's known me for 30 years, who even though being male and on his own male journey is also on this path of self-actualization. And we talked about this. We talked, conversations that I think I can only have with you guys in my coaching community because you guys are here and you understand this. I was having with a friend of 30 years. We never had this kind of conversation where I was like, I'm not being that woman yet. And I need to get back on that track because I am happiest when I am being her. So part of breaking your pattern, whether it's invisibility or I'm alone or not enough, is recognizing the pattern is there and then matching that pattern up to your inner wise woman, to that woman you want to be in 10 or 20 years, and saying, okay, how would she respond in this situation? What would she do in this situation? Because here's the thing. My inner wise woman, if she didn't get her butt out the door to train for that half, she would have called off the run. She would have said, my body can't take this and I am going to take care of my body. And taking care of my body means I don't put it through unnecessary strain that can hurt it. So the question now is, what do I do next? Which is, what do you do next? So I want to invite you to look at those patterns I talked about, right? Whether yours is invisibility or alone or not enough. What is that stopping you from doing today? And how would your inner wise woman, how would the version of you 20 years from now, with all of her attributes of confidence, of authenticity, of letting go of other people's opinions, right? Separating herself from criticism and praise, how would she respond? How would she behave? Because we can start being her today. There's nothing that stops us from being her right now. That's how you break the pattern. That's how you flip the switch. So the question really is, what are you going to do next? What would the future you do next? So, a couple of things. First, if you want to talk more about the inner wise woman and where you're going with her and get yourself on track, let's do a conversation, a short conversation about that. That's the Dirty Girl Mini Dig. So you can drop dig in the comments and we'll have a conversation about what your future wise woman looks like. We can do the meditation exercise together if you want and start teasing that out, and start getting you on a plan and a path to be that woman today, to start already showing up as her, so that by the time you're 20 years in the future, you killed it as her. You've mastered that. And you may have new goals to hit at that point. Two other announcements to make. So dig in the comments if you'd like to have that conversation. Two other announcements. One is Saturday morning is the Balance and Boundaries Workshop. I ran it last week. I was worse than I am now last week with, I think, I had Kleenex going on, I had coughing going on. And for those of you who've asked for the recording of the Balance Boundaries Workshop, I have it. It's not the best recording. I am hoping by Saturday this is a lot more cleared up. I'm running the workshop live on Saturday. Would love for you to join us. It is Saturday morning. It is early for those of you on the West Coast. But I'm doing it Saturday because I was trying to get it in well before the Thanksgiving holiday, because part of Balance and Boundaries is keeping our sanity through the next 6 weeks. There's 46 days left in the year. Keeping our sanity through the next 6 weeks, essentially. And so Balance and Boundaries will help us do that. So sign up for the workshop if you haven't already. It's on our page. I think I pinned it to the top of the page, so you can click on the link and sign up for the workshop. If you can't make Saturday morning, but you want the workshop, I will send the recording afterwards. If it's not a better recording, I'll send the first recording, but workshops are just better live because we're doing work in the program. So it's much better if you can attend live. And finally, for those of you who haven't heard about it already, I have the Lotus Leadership Program running. It's up and running, still taking in enrollments, so we still have a couple spots for enrollments. If you're interested in going much deeper with these patterns that we talked about, with stepping into leadership, with knowing who your wise woman is, with identifying not just your achievement goals of your next raise, your next promotion, your next kind of step in your career, but also your self-actualization goals. Who am I going to be and how am I going to be this powerful woman going forward? The 6-week course is the course for you. So drop the word Lotus if you would like to get more information about the Lotus program. What we'll do is have a quick conversation and just see if there's alignment there. If the program is a good fit for you, we'll talk about how we enroll you. If it's not a good fit for you, we will talk about other resources that are. It is not a course for everybody. It is designed for you ambitious women who are working and who are busy. But it's also designed for women who are ready to proactively take the reins on how they're going to show up and be the CEO of both their career and their lives. So it's a 6-week course. It's really rich. There's a lot of great stuff in it, including going a little bit deeper on some of the topics we talked about tonight. So drop Lotus in the comments if you'd like to connect about that. Drop Dig if you'd like to have just a free coaching conversation. We'll talk about the Wise Woman meditation and how to get through that and get that vision and that map going for you. All right, ladies, thank you so much for joining me tonight. You've joined me for the sunset. I'm realizing it just got dark in the room and my one light is still on. So thank you for joining me for what looks like an episode of Ghost Hunters. And I look forward to seeing you guys next week and hearing from you this week.